Hello, everyone, and welcome to Freedom Mastery, our mastermind and chat. And this week, we are covering the review series of The Science of Being Well by Wallace D. Wattles. This is my daughter, Lily, and she sometimes sits in with me. Hi, Rob. Hi, Tina.
Hi, Rob. Hi, Rob. Hi, Tina.
My hostess. She's going to be my hostess.
What's a hostess?
Hostess, somebody that helps me and welcomes everybody and is beautiful and happy and fun. Coach Tina, she's been a host. She's a hostess for Miss Melody a lot. Okay, so I am going to be covering. Hello, Miss Melody. So happy to see you.
Hi, Miss Melody. I love you.
So glad to see you. Oh my gosh, look how beautiful. So beautiful. Okay, so I just started recording and I'm going to share my screen for a little while to cover some of the things. I know that we don't see many people doing this, but it helps keep me on track and from going off on tangents and stuff. So let's share my screen. Okay. And then we're going to open my message. Okay. So, welcome to Freedom Mastery, and we cover a blend of health and wellness and principles and concepts that bring freedom. They have brought much freedom to my life and many others. And I first absolutely want to give a shout out to my mentors, Robert Wallace and Melody Ryba, because without them, I would not be here doing this, sharing, and being a vessel and a voice as I have been called to be. So I just want to thank you for helping me be who God created me to be. So these are the areas that we will cover through time in this group, a little bit more or less of every subject. This basically goes back to the basic human needs, and I just made it look kind of colorful and beautiful. And then this series that I'm going through right now, which if you haven't already addressed and gone through the series that I have already done, they are in the files section, and that you can access those videos and that content at any time. There is the Science of Getting Rich study and review, and then Code to Love if you're looking for more on relationships, marriage, love, harmony in your relationships. In a little bit when it's time, I will tell you to push it. She's going to be my button pusher. So The Science of Being Well by Wallace Wattles. Now, I first found out about this book in December when I was introduced to the science of being rich from my mentors, Robert and Melody. And I did a little research on Wallace Wattles and found that he had written other books. And as I looked at all of his content, I was really excited because everything resonated with me. I started with where I knew I needed the most help, and that was on the topic of riches. Because at the time I was introduced to the book, I actually couldn't even say that statement that I deserve to be rich. At that time, I was having limitedness thinking and issues, and I'm thankful that through my courses with Robert and Melody, I've been able to overcome those and be confident in finding riches and richness in my life and know that I deserve it, and be able to sit here and tell you that you too deserve riches. And not only riches, but now we're going to get into wellness. And there's so many aspects that this book covers, and we're just going to take it step by step, and I'm going to translate it in the way that it comes to me. So hopefully you'll resonate with much of this that I have come to be aware of. The big picture, and what, in the big picture, there's so many things that we deal with and that we struggle with, and that many of us do on a daily basis. Somebody somewhere is struggling with overwhelm, irritations, unhappiness, worry, stress, sadness, grief, dissatisfaction, procrastination, emotional ups and downs, loss of self-control, those kinds of things. And what I'm here to do is help bring resources and tools and content to increase balance, calmness, fulfillment, success, bliss, ecstasy, not just contentment, but to live at a level of bliss where we can actually live in the mind of a child almost. My children inspire me every day to be more childlike, be more playful, and embrace pleasure, peace, joyfulness, contentment, self-control, have an intentional day. My days used to overtake me, and now I'm grateful to be able to intentionally take my day. And all that wrapped up in one word to me brings freedom. And that's where I like to focus. But freedom embodies so much, and everybody's view of freedom is something different. Each person as a human is unique and different and going through different things and, looking for something else. So I really love that these books and this author, Wallace Wattles in general, just brings so much to the table when it comes to life balance and wellness in so many areas. And my belief is that we're on this journey and that there's no destination, that this is a lifelong journey. And, we don't really know if we try to describe it in words, where it ends or how it ends. We have beliefs, and that's what I will get into a little bit here. My purpose is to bring content and to express myself in a way where I am able to see people as God sees people and see myself as God sees me. And through my courses and through my mentorship with my mentors, those priorities have come into my life and have really brought so much beauty. So that's why I'm so inspired to share all of this with you too, because seeing divinity in our days and in our life, I have found again is so vital, and to feeling well and to being fulfilled and to finding success and freedom in any area. So, I think of what came to my mind earlier today. I was sitting with the kids and we were talking about church a little bit, and we were talking about people and creation. And, the thought that came to my mind was communion and how we have communion. If you're a believer, you at least know of the concept, even if you aren't. And what it is to me, is communion is a time where we are reminded that we are not whole individually, and that we are a body together, overcoming our brokenness and our pain and our areas where humanly we are not enough, through what God did for us and through the sacrifices that he gave for us, his bloodshed, his brokenness. And that through that, though, we can be whole. And then, it goes back even further than that. It really goes back to creation. And when I read the first 3 chapters of this book, I'm going to tell you that, you can push this button right here, Lily. It really, really made me think and visualize as I began meditating on it. And I read a piece of it. And then, that morning or that evening, I really meditate on it. And the picture that kept coming to me was creation. And, we were created to be loving, to be connected in relationships. I mean, if you think of back, very, very back in Genesis, when we were created, we were created complete and whole, healthy, unashamed. And through time, we have lost that. We've lost a lot of that. And we do experience and we feel within ourselves, even if we're not a believer, we can admit that we can feel the disconnectedness in society. We can feel this, how people are separated, alone, hurting, painful. I mean, there's so many different words to describe it. But when it comes down to, for me, I sense a vast separation and, a forgetting almost of the fact that we are created to be connected, and we are created with wholeness and wellness within us already. I mean, these chapters, even these first few here, there's just so much it goes into. I don't have to read all of these points, but these are a lot of the main topics that popped out in chapter 1. I mean, that there is a principle of life, and that it is a living substance, and that all things are made of it, including us. And, you can read in Genesis. I do believe that the first few paragraphs of Genesis can totally coincide with the beginning of this book. All life comes from it. Its life is all the life there is. So it really, really talks about the fact that there is only life. So then man brings in death. Man brings in shamefulness, sickness, pain, hurt, all of those things. But that we have the choice and the ability to continue to focus on the life and not the death. And I do believe that that's a big part of this next piece in chapter 2 on foundations of faith. And depending on your faith, now whether it's a religious faith, this book wasn't, said to be written to talk about that kind of faith. But if you are a believer, you know that that's immediately where we go. And I do believe that that is truth, and that each person has to find their own truth. And that if you aren't a believer, then you go with the faith of the knowing that these principles are universal principles in our universe and are true and are facts. And, you sit with where your beliefs are. So much of the world goes by, and from day to day, much of the people in the world go through their days and through their life disconnected. You can think about time and how nowadays we're based so much. And even since the introduction of electricity, we now are a society that bases our life, when we wake up, when we go to sleep, on a time frame and on our responsibilities, our jobs. Most of us, it's jobs and school. And how much of the day is spent inside of buildings with artificial light. We're not connecting in nature as much as when we were first created. And I think that what we really, really are being called right now as a community, humanity in general, there's this huge calling to get back to the basic principles of health and wellness in life. And that is connecting with nature. Is a big one. Connecting with, and it goes here into the voluntary and involuntary functions. And, there are voluntary functions that we must focus on and that we have control over: eating, drinking, breathing, and sleeping. And it states, and it is a fact, that we can perform them in a healthy way if we will to. And having the will to do it is the beginning, having that faith that you want health and wellness, that you want improvements in whatever area you're looking for improvements. And for some people, that gets really deep really fast, because it opens your eyes to the fact that you might not be doing right now, today, what brings that natural state of wellness to your life. And I see that as a beautiful thing. I've come to that in my own life, that realization that I had been doing actions and activities and things that I thought were my purpose and my intentions in life. But once I got back to me, I realized that they weren't so much actually me. So the basis and the roots of all of this, all of these words, all of these concepts and topics really does come down to coming back to you, coming back to who you are. And then it goes into the personal application in chapter 3. The essentials to thinking in a certain way, which will make you well, are to 1, claim health by faith, and 2, sever all thoughts of disease. So that's really, really big. And that's so major, because that means that is saying that we need to only speak and only live in health and wellness, and to let go of everything that is not that, the opposite, which is stress, negativity, disease, dysfunction, pain, anything that we experience in our bodies that basically is not God in us. that is our humanness and man within us. Here, hit that arrow there. What man has brought into our being that wasn't originally there. So,
when you look at me, I push it.
Okay, thank you. So here's where we're going to go into falling in love with taking care of yourself. It always comes back to us. What we want from whatever it is we're seeking, like if you just think of right now a mental list of what you want in life, it must go back to who you are inside your heart and what you're living intentionally on a daily basis. So the National Wellness Institute talks and gives the 6 dimensions of wellness. And this resonated with me so much that I had to include it here. And those are the areas of physical, social, intellectual, spiritual, emotional, and occupational. And, you know, in the physical, they're the obvious things like, not yet, like exercising, being nutrition, having good nutritional habits, self-care, monitoring your vital signs, so knowing when your temperature is rising, knowing when you're overdoing yourself, having a sense of vitality and energy every day. I mean, we're meant to live and not be, you know, walking dead. So living in a sense of energy and vitality, avoiding abuse of alcohol, drugs, and tobacco, because that does bring down our state of wellness that we're intended to have. And then connecting to nature. And I've mentioned a couple of things already in those areas. And then social, making positive connections, encouraging community around you, and you being an encouraging community, giving and receiving social support, intimacy, compassion, love, all of the things we crave as a human and which is natural for us to crave. Intellectual, creativity, stimulating our mental activities, being open to learning new things, reading. I've made it a habit to at least read one chapter of something every day, something. Problem solving, staying current with events that you enjoy, you know, getting back to, again, what do you enjoy in the intellect? You know, what excites your intellect? Then the spiritual, having a sense of purpose. Robert had an amazing live video yesterday on his page on how to find your purpose. I love that. Connecting to a higher power, meaning in life, having a meaning in life. If you say that you're not spiritual and you don't feel that you're spiritual, then everybody can have a meaning in their life. Everybody can know your value. Having an awareness of life as a journey, that every day we're here, exactly where we're at in this moment is exactly where we're supposed to be, and giving 100% into this very moment versus wishing. You know, goals are great, and, you know, having those aspirations are great because we know that there's more to come, but always living in the moment and in your journey, appreciating every second moment of your journey, having tolerance for, you know, what you might think is not good. I've really worked on reducing my vocabulary of good and bad, you know, putting good on stuff and bad on stuff, because truly I do believe everything is meant to be in this moment right now. If you're living an intentional life, if you're seeking that, and if you're getting to that, then everything that comes to you is meant to be for one reason or another, either to learn from or to gain from, or for a reason. Emotional, acceptance of feelings, management of emotions and stress, the ability to center yourself and have self-control, resilience in, you know, everything that we go through, being human, and attuned to others' emotions as well. You know, we often get so lost in our own emotions and in our own, you know, life experience that we do look less and less to those around us, and to help assist others in balancing their emotions. And, you know, having children is what brought this awareness to myself. Not yet, just a minute. You know, as they go through learning how to address their emotions and what to do, I quickly realized at one point, I remember the day that I didn't even know how to do that for myself. And I quickly it was a huge pop. Realized that I had things I needed to work on, because my children were depending on me to learn how to control and work on their emotions. And if I didn't know how, then I wasn't giving them a very good example of what to do by screaming and yelling and throwing things. So I've been on a journey there, huge journey there myself. Occupational, so important. You know, in human society, there are systems that are in place that we have to live with and by and in. And, you know, it comes out in this area a lot of times. Your financial health, your ability to share your gifts, talents, and skills through your work. I highly, highly believe that we should be using our gifts and talents and natural skills that we love as our job. And, you know, that gives us a satisfying career and a sense of achievement and just fulfillment in life. You know, when you're doing what you love, they say that you won't work a day in your life. Now, there are mundane things that we've got to do and put into place, like creating this. I wasn't great with technical stuff, but I'm very visual. And I know a lot of people, too, that are very visual, and I love to give the visual part of it so that along with just my voice, you can actually have something to take a look at. Hold on. So, you know, I talked about the disconnectedness and how we're disconnected from ourselves. We're disconnected from nature a lot of the time, from each other. So ending on this occupation topic here at the end, I wanted to give a story that I read earlier today. There was a gentleman that got a job. He was really excited about his job because he had a vision for how he was going to be able to create this significant change for this company. And the company was excited to have him. They gave him this big bonus. They were, you know, thrilled with his skills and expertise, and they knew that he was going to be a great value to their company. So he was really excited, and he took on this job. Well, 6 months later, he started to experience this huge burnout, and he wasn't as thrilled anymore 6 months later. And when they asked him why do you feel burned out? Why aren't you enjoying it like you did in the beginning? And he says, well, you know, I don't have control of my hours. They tell me when to come to work. And can you sit up, please? They tell me when to come to work and when I can go home and when they need me. And then they tell me what they need. So originally I had this creative vision that I wanted to help them with. And it turned out they really already had step 1, 2, and 3, and 4 that I have to work on every day now. That isn't really my vision. But because I work for them, I have to do it their way. So it was just a really huge example of coming back to my passion for myself doing work that I love and helping others be able to achieve that in their own life and not have to be doing something they don't love. Okay, are you ready to push it? Go ahead. Okay, so this is another, and I'm going to have these resources in the Freedom Mastery group in the files section, and there'll be 3 of them there, and they are resources for these dimensions of life and being able to find balance, you know, assessing where you're giving your energy at right now, assessing where you're putting a lot of your energy or a little of your energy, and then coming up with, you know, reflecting on what your vision is for your life, what you enjoy, what you don't enjoy, and then creating your ideal vision of wellness. And you know, what areas do you want to give more to or less to? You know, it's a choice. It doesn't have to be completely balanced. And as a matter of fact, it won't be completely balanced all the time. So we always have to reflect. We have to reconcile and take a look again and then rebalance, you know, decide, are we fulfilled? Are we happy right now with where we're at in these different areas? And when there are areas where we're lacking, that's where then we can choose to put more energy into those areas, you know, to make sure that we are valuing our time, valuing what we have to do in our day, and then inspiring others. Because if we're not achieving balance in our own life, then we're not as capable and as able to help others, you know, achieve balance in their life. And I know all of you on today are coaches and mentors, and, you know, being balanced and being that example is so vital and important for when people are looking to you. They see wholeness, they see wellness, and that's what they want. And they want to know how am I going to do that? So by achieving it yourself or being on the journey, then you're able to help others. Lily, please don't get in the window. Thank you. So, you know, this is the part where I'm going to actually stop sharing my screen. Okay, and I can come back so you can see me. Hello, and I can see you. So this is a part where, I do feel that this is the time where God is coming back and He's saying, like He did in the garden in the beginning, He's looking for His people, and He is, asking, where are you? And He's asking to reconnect with us, and on a more intimate level, than just a communion once a month that the church does, or even just church once a week. And I'm just gonna bring it to that, because in the end, that it states that that life and its organisms. In that chapter 3, the statement, it says, this energy we call life, all life is one. And I do believe that this energy that they're talking about and this life that we are within us, this wellness, the principle of life, source of life, that all that within us is God within us, is our creator. So when you think about it, it's really crazy. If you think about how you treat yourself is how you're treating and how much you value your creator. And then how we treat others and how we're able to coach and uplift and help others is an example of how much we value God's creation, because we were put here to be a tool and a vessel and a voice and a resource for people seeking and needing. And we know that even we need and even we seek ourselves, but everybody's on a different path and everybody's on a different journey. Everybody has strengths and weaknesses. And if we focus on our strengths, then there is somebody out there that needs us, because there's always somebody weak where we are strong. So some people like to, try to increase their weaknesses. And, when I was asked how I won first place in a bikini competition as a 41-year-old mother of 3 without working out, and it all came down to one statement: I focused on my strengths. That was all I focused on. That was it. And that was absolutely just a visual presentation of what the mind is capable of and what we are capable of. Even in our just humanness, our, every day we have a choice to be strong or to focus on our weaknesses and our dis-ease. And that's a big thing I love about this book, because it absolutely is telling us to do that, to focus on your strengths, focus on the life and the health and wellness that you have living within you, even if it's just a tiny seed and it's not growing yet. It can and has the ability to. So I'm just so inspired. I love this topic and just all of this. I mean, I love Wattles. I wish I could meet him and shake his hand or something. I love that this PDF, I'll put it in the file section as well, has his picture on it, because I had never even really looked at what he looked like. I thought that was interesting. So if anybody has questions, please let me know. You can unmute yourself and ask anything.
Hi.
Hello.
I needed this. Thank you, Rita. This is great. You saw my message earlier, and I was just a little bit disappointed today, but this is good. I've been for a while now trying to focus on my wellness. I just find it so very difficult. I know what I need to do. I'm just not doing it.
Yep. And in the end of Science of Getting Rich, I know you probably remember, but you can go back. I think it's one of the very last sentences, because I know it was in Robert's Mastering the Science of Getting Rich. It was in one of his very last videos. And it actually is, there's a statement there that we are being called, and I believe it's us being called because we did read it. I mean, as soon as you're exposed and, become aware of something, you can't go back and say, well, I don't know that anymore. Lily.
Right.
And at the end of that book, there was a statement that we are called to be an example of health and of, riches in all areas, in mind, body, and spirit. And, a lot of people find it challenging to do the physical part. But it's no different than doing the other pieces of it. It's thinking about what you want and then only thinking about that, and then creating action steps every day. And the biggest mistake that most people make is they make these huge changes in their daily routines. And we know that doesn't work. You got to add in little reasonable, 1% better everyday steps, not 100% from day one to day two. That doesn't work. Those are, like the crash diets and the grapefruit diets and, the things people do that are crazy that don't last. They're temporary. They'll give you some weight loss in a week, but all it was water, and in the end, your body's going to be starving. So, but there are simple, easy steps that we can take. And we are going to get into that more. I'm going to post the replay from last week. I haven't posted it yet, but I'll post it in the files. And that was actually more of an interview style with a nutrition wellness coach. She's actually also a registered nurse and very holistic minded and very simple. Like, she's a yogi, so she just keeps it super simple. Yes, ma'am?
What is this called?
It's in just a little bit.
Okay, I'll just show you something.
Okay. She wants to show you something. my hostess with the mostest.
So do I film?
But really, it goes back to those 4 areas that we have voluntary control over. And I'm going to go back. Eating, drinking, breathing, and sleeping.
I wrote that down.
And
Yep.
And he says the book actually states eating first. Oh, nice. So, eating is something that we very much have control over, and that we do every day on a daily basis anyway. Her hat. And that's where I was strong at. And that's where I started. I started with my eating in the kitchen. And, I had to do it a little different than some people. You probably already are aware somewhat, I have physical conditions where I've had major operations in my shoulders and my arms and in my neck. And I can't do a lot of like cooking and cleaning and housework and that kind of stuff. So I wasn't interested in cooking a lot of meals a day, so I chose one of those systems, that was the network marketing company that I had been growing. And, it worked for me, but here's the deal. And that's what this book makes clear, that whatever you choose to do will work if you believe it will work and if you put it to work. So, the first thing most people do that want help is they go to their doctor. Because if you go to your doctor, you can actually get a referral, or I don't know what kind of insurance company you have or whatever. But a lot of times in my coaching and talking to people, if they didn't want to spend the money on a system, which is just the food you're eating anyway. So I never really understood that, because you're going to have to buy food anyway. But, some people, my husband is one, it's just not interested in using a system. He's like, I don't want to drink a shake. And I'm like, why? No. But
I do. I love having 2 shakes a day.
Yeah,
it's
I
less
do
cooking because I don't enjoy cooking.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, we're totally on the same page there. But if you do enjoy cooking, and if you like, having a lot of variety in your food, and you like going to the grocery store, and you like cooking and all of that, okay, just a sec. Then, I always recommend people to go to their doctor, not for, meds or, anything like that, but to get a referral to a nutritionist. Because a nutritionist can look at your BMI, your body mass index, and tell you a specific plan of what you should be eating every day in order to hit a goal. And if it's, reducing your body fat, it just depends on everything you eat each day. You literally just have to get into a regimen of eating. And, and here's where a lot of people do it on their own, and they don't get successful results, because they think that because they're eating good fats, that's okay to just eat it however much they want. But coconut oil, anything that's a good fat, avocados, it still causes the body to hold fat. So it doesn't matter if it's good or bad, good or bad. Even food, quality of food, in the end, what it comes down to is what your body needs as far as protein, carbs, and fats, the macros. The micros are important as well, because they help process the macros, the main thing. So macros are proteins, carbs, and fats. products. And it's just a balance of that. And a nutritionist can do that. An integrative health coach can do that. Our systems, the system you use, the system I use, I love because it does that, but it does it in a simple way where I don't have to look at the numbers. I don't have to calculate stuff. I drink my shakes. I eat my bars. I eat my snacks. I just do what it says, and it's easy. It's a regimen that's just simple to follow. So I like that. I know Rob, too. We were talking nutrition and wellness, and he's got a lot of products too that are all natural, chemical free, very much in the same mindset, being, reducing what our bodies don't need, which is, detrimental to people's health. And that's where I do believe many people are struggling, and they just don't realize it. They don't realize that they're having health issues just because of something that they're eating. They think it's food. You go to the grocery store and you fill up your cart with all this stuff, and you think it's food, and it's sad because in the end, a lot of it's not food. And that's where many people are getting thrown off, that they're thinking, I'm doing all the right things. Why doesn't my body look any different than 2 weeks ago? Because truly, if you're on a regimen that is right for your body and that is actually right for your goals, you should see a difference in your body in 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, you should begin to see a difference. And if you're not seeing a difference, then you got to tweak something somewhere. And that's where it's good to have a third party come in and take a look. Because if you're not an expert in nutrition and you don't know, what to look at those numbers, like I don't, I've had Chris look at my stuff several times because she knows she can take a look. So you got to know what you want too. Okay, Lily, our hostess wants to say something.
Daddy has a lot of macros.
Daddy has a lot of macros. Okay. Yeah. And that's something
Macaroni.
Yeah. And it's true. Everybody's body's different. And when you commit to loving somebody, you commit to love them no matter what they look like physically. And God's really helped me a lot in that area, look past the physical, because we all have our own journey. We're all on this health and wellness journey. Yes. Yeah. And everybody's a different place. And, there are seasons where it's okay to have more body fat. I mean, I've come to the realization, I do believe that we're not going to have the same body structure 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We're just not. We're not meant to be that way. We're meant to hold more fat in the winter. We're meant to be leaner in the summer and eat less. There's just different, seasons for our bodies. And what it comes down to is, are we fulfilled? Are we feeling good about ourselves? When we look in the mirror, now it goes really deep though, because if you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see physically, I found, at least personally in my life, that it went deeper than that. There were issues that were deeper than the physical, because once I got to where I wanted to be physically, I still looked in the mirror and didn't like myself. So it was pretty disappointing because I had already lost like a bunch of fat, and you could see my abs, and I was like, I should be so thrilled with myself, but I wasn't. And then I had to say why, why am I not happy yet? Like, I achieved what I thought I wanted, and I'm still not there. So I see all these people on these competition journeys, and they're going through the same thing. They get on the stage, and, everything is about whether they win or whether they lose, versus that they had a freaking amazing journey and achieved so much in their health and increased their strength in so many ways, but yet they're still not satisfied unless they have that trophy. So, if there's a physical... and this is just what I've kind of come to say and to believe, that if there's a physical goal, if it's all physical, then it's not deep enough. And there's something else there that we're not looking at. Because just weight, that's not good enough. And I find that many people, like, they'll get my system and they won't get results. But they're using the system, maybe not full on, but their thinking is not right. They're still going through all this stress. They have all these other issues, the 6 dimensions of wellness. If there's a real big imbalance in some of those areas, it will absolutely affect us physically. And that's where I believe that having balance on that wheel is so important, at least a little bit of balance, not to be crazy off, because it all goes together in effects.
Yeah, that's what I need to do, that wheel, because I did the same program in 2014 and for about a year, and I lost like 40 pounds and I lost a bunch of inches. And that's why I went back to it, because I know that it works, but I'm trying to master all this other stuff, and I don't care if I'm not following it to a T. You know, and I'm missing days at the gym and all of this stuff. And when I lost the 40 pounds before, I wasn't working out. I wasn't going to the gym at all, no cardio.
Yeah.
So, like, I know that it works. My mind isn't there right now, and that's why I need to get my mind there. So I think that reel that you put out there is going to really help me.
Yay. Okay, good. So I'm going to put those resources in the files. That way you can access those. And there's actually a couple of other exercises that it gives you to do too. It's really good, because I did it when I first found all that and was just like, wow, people need this.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. Yay.
Yay. Okay, I think that's it for now. And then check the files for the resources, and then I'll be posting these videos in there too. And I'll post the other one or two that I have that I hadn't posted yet. And I'm excited. Thank you, Rob, for getting on even from work.
I really wanted to focus in more, but my superintendent came in and he sat next to me, and because we're working on something pretty big here, so he was just, seeing what I was working on, and then he kept popping his head, and he was like, "Is that live? Can they see me?" And so I couldn't
can see you.
really focus on what you were saying, because I'm trying to listen to you and listen to him and enter this information in at the same time. I'm just like, oh, but yeah, it was a great topic on the health and wellness and the weight loss, and how you got your healthy products, and I have mine too, but I haven't really been using them as much. I've been doing keto for 5 weeks now.
Yeah.
And I'm loving the keto because it's zero sugar, very low carbs. And I know we had that conversation a while ago, and the keto seems to be working. I've been really nutty with it. I've been writing everything down, and I don't mind it. But in 5 weeks, I already lost almost 18 pounds with putting on muscle, so, and Chandra's lost 17 pounds without exercising. And I feel like I'm eating like a king, and chocolate lava cake and stuff that we're making, and with monk fruit, and it's oh my God, I can't believe the foods that we're eating, and I'm still losing weight. It's the most incredible thing I've ever experienced.
Yeah. That's amazing. It's so good, because you know what that does too? It exposes your body to different nutrition, to different kinds of food. Like they always say, I've heard a nutritionist say one time that every week your grocery list should be different every week. You should never eat the same things in a row. You should always have a variety of stuff. So when you get on a new, something like that that's different than how you've been eating, you really do. It forces you to be resourceful and creative and look at all the other, and it's fun.
Cooking up a storm. We've been cooking up a storm, and I wasn't really into cooking, but I'm having a lot of fun with all the new foods that we're making, and I haven't had any sugar in 5 weeks.
Wow, that's amazing. Because I'm really, really a big I really like to spread awareness of reducing processed sugar at least. But I still have sugar on a regular basis, not processed sugar, but raw, not brown sugar, but raw sugar, unprocessed sugar. And I still feel amazing. So, but my goal is not to reduce body fat. So sugar absolutely affects releasing body fat. So that's where you're finding so much success. But my question would be, do you have this as a long-term plan? Do you feel like you could do this lifestyle forever? Or do you feel like
I think I could, because once I reach my goal, now I was leaning towards 180, and I'm going to see how that looks, and I was really thinking about going down to 175. I don't know if that might be too thin, but 180 is a good weight for me, especially if I have muscle, you know.
Right.
But
Yeah.
then once I hit my goal weight, I'm gonna up my caloric intake, you know, so I'm not losing. I'm just kind of maintaining,
Right.
and I can monitor. And I don't really mind weighing my food. Like I used to think, like, what are you nuts, weighing your food, really? Like, but now I don't mind, because I guess I'm getting older and I have to be a little bit more health conscious and aware of what I'm doing, so I don't wind up like some of these guys around here. You know, they're in their mid to late 40s, early 50s, and they look horrible. And I'm like, what are you guys doing to yourself? You know?
Yeah. And, and that's where the truly, and this is just my kind of take on it, the truly people that have a heart and a mind of service toward others will figure out a way to grasp control of their health in all areas of their body, or of their life, mind, body, and spirit, so that they can be a better example for others. And I think that what happens is, I mean, I'm speaking from personal experience, and then from those closest to me, and from, the people that I've talked to, when we forget to think of others, and when we forget that we are an example to somebody, that's when we lose control of whatever area. For some people it's spiritual, for some people it's social, one of the areas, or two or three, or whatever. And then I do believe that in the big picture, those people that are just rock bottom is when you lose control of all the areas, and you're just not finding anything to help in any area. So it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I can see a difference in your face every few calls we get on. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's less Rob. He's not, more is gone.
Funny. Thanks. So yeah. It's been,
in the end, I always like to say that it's not about the number. It's about when you get to where you feel your best, and you have that energy to go for more. You can let him in. You have the energy, when you wake up, you're feeling amazed and energized. You get through lunch and you're not having that midday crash. Sorry. It's about feeling amazing and living the utmost that you can live each day. And, that's where, I didn't think that I was going to want to stay at the weight that I'm at right now. I had this other goal. I was going to want to gain weight. And truthfully, with how good I feel, and like you said, I went through all that season, like for a year almost, where I measured everything, kept track of every number, and now I don't even have to do that, because I visually can see what I'm eating, and I visually already know the numbers on my plate, even though I'm not still measuring. All right. Well, I think it's about time to cut it. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Rita. This was great. I loved it.
Yeah, so great, Rita. This is your first Zoom, right?
Thank you. Yeah. I did a couple other ones, but the one was an interview with my friend Chris, the nutritionist, and I'll post that in the files. And then she'll be on a lot of these calls too for question and answer, because she's an expert when it comes to health and wellness in a lot of areas.
The kids are taking over.
They need your attention now. We'll let you go.
All right.
Thank you. Bye, Rob.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Everybody watching the replay, thank you so much for watching. If you're still here at the end, I appreciate your time.
Bye.
And message
Bye,
message or post in the group with any questions at all. And we'll see you.
I love you. I
We'll
love
Love
you.
you.
Bye.
Oh my goodness, so sweet. Love you.
Bye. Love you.